The tunnel was narrow and the water surprisingly cold. As we made our way through the passages and waterways of a long ago civilization, we were walking back in time to a period once belonging to the ancient citizens of Jerusalem and the nation of Judah. As we walked, the noise of moving water and the chatter of excited voices echoed across the tunnel walls and down the long and winding corridor of this extraordinary landmark. The sights and sounds from this historic waterway were ringing loud and clear, and its message was unmistakable. As we made our way through the tunnel, we could feel the chisel marks. We explored the series of wrong turns. We even experienced a few of the challenges of maneuvering through the crowded and cramped conditions. This long tunnel and waterway was created over 2,700 years ago, and it still carries water from Jerusalem's Gihon Spring down to the western side of the spur of Ophel, where during the time of Christ, it emptied into the pool of Siloam. About halfway into our journey, we could feel the tunnel begin to widen and then make a very sharp turn. The hairpin turn was created when excavators digging from opposite ends finally approached the planned rendezvous. A record of that meeting was chiseled into the tunnel wall near the southern end. The original inscription was removed and is now on display at a museum in Istanbul. A replica now hangs near the place where it was discovered. Written in ancient Hebrew, the inscription reads, "While the stonecutters were wielding the picks, each toward his co-worker, and while there were still 3 cubits to tunnel through, the voice of a man was heard calling out to his co-worker. And on the final day of tunneling, each of the stonecutters was striking the stone forcefully so as to meet his co-worker, pick after pick. And then the water began to flow from the source to the pool, a distance of 1,200 cubits. These ancient excavators began their work just beyond the Gihon Spring, near the end of a small tunnel created by the Canaanites sometime during the Middle Bronze Age period. The Canaanites, or as the Bible calls them, the Jebusites, had worked to safeguard and redirect the waters of Gihon by digging a small passageway from the spring to a nearby rock-hewn pool. They then directed a portion of the water out through a channel running parallel to the Kidron Valley. The channel provided water to farmers and residents living outside the city walls. During the reign of King David of Judah, this channel may have been the means by which Joab and his men infiltrated the city when King David captured it for his capital city in the year 1004 BC. Both the rock-hewn pool and the spring were accessed by a secret underground tunnel and protected by massive towers and walls. Just west of the tower and spring, and continuing on from the Canaanite tunnel, this newer and much longer tunnel begins. It meanders east to west some 580 yards through solid limestone rock at depths of some 80 feet below the surface. Remarkably, the tunnel floor drops no more than 12 inches from the spring to the pool located on the opposite end. So if the Canaanites dug the rock-hewn pool and water channel situated in the Kidron Valley, who engineered the extraordinary tunnel traveling underneath the city? In the Bible, we find the answer. In the 8th century BC, during the reign of King Uzziah, Jerusalem expanded westward across the Central Valley and on top of present-day Mount Zion. But its main water source at the Gihon Spring still lay outside the main city walls. Nearly 75 years later, When the new king of Jerusalem, Hezekiah, rebelled against the foreign rule of the Assyrians, he embarked upon a campaign to fortify and organize his cities against attack. In preparation, the Bible says that Hezekiah commissioned the building of a reservoir and tunnel to bring water inside the city walls, thus protecting Jerusalem's most precious water source and making it more accessible to its citizens on the western hill. The preparation paid off when in 701 BC, the Assyrian general and ruler Sennacherib marched through the territories of Israel and Judah and conquered most of their cities. The famed 7th century prism discovered in 1830 by Colonel Robert Taylor reveals that Sennacherib was limited to have only encircled Jerusalem, caging it like a bird. He did not conquer it. Both the Bible and the annals of history reveal that this famed military genius failed to conquer Jerusalem. Hezekiah was successful in part because the tunnel had provided a flourishing water supply, and thus the citizens of Jerusalem could remain indefinitely within the city walls. Jerusalem and the nation of Judah had trusted in God. As a result, they were spared the ruthless and humiliating treatment endured by neighboring cities like those at Lachish, whose city had been destroyed months earlier. Eventually, the use of the tunnel was abandoned and forgotten, but rediscovered by Edward Robinson in the year 1837. The tunnel today stands as credible testimony to the accuracy and reliability of the Bible. Not only does a tunnel exist, just like the Old Testament reveals, but the Bible accurately pinpoints its location and perfectly describes the direction in which it flows. Truly, the message coming from Hezekiah's tunnel is clear and reminds us of yet another example of the connection between fact and faith right here in the places and passages of the land of the Bible.